Please put your hands together and welcome ValarieWalker.
After getting my BA in theater, I did not become an actress, not in real life. What I did become was a professional lesbian. What I mean by that is that it literally said lesbian in my job title. And then I met Cheryl at a gathering for a mutual friend's birthday party. It was in a restaurant, there were about 14 of us there, and immediately she and I had chemistry. We had this kind of comedic synergy, and although she sat on opposite sides of the banquet table from me, we held the entire room in our sway. It was like the Venus and Serena Williams lobbing humorous stories and anecdotes. We even had callbacks. It was pretty dope. So when she came up to me at the end and introduced herself and said that she was a filmmaker and had a film project and did I want to play the part of her best friend, it seemed like the most natural thing in the world to say yes. So she sent me the script, the shooting schedule, and I took off about 2 weeks from being a professional dyke, and I packed my bags and I went to Philly where we shot the film. And it was an indie film, so that means on the cheap. So my housing was a spare room in the home of a friend who knew somebody who worked on the movie. The shooting schedule was largely from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. because location fees were cheapest. And the costume designer relapsed on heroin before the movie even started, and so my entire wardrobe consisted of a pair of overalls. But nonetheless, I was undaunted and excited, and I showed up the first day on my mark in my overalls with my eyebrows plucked for the very first time. They called action, I said my first line, and I heard, "Cut!" I turned and looked at the camera confused, and out from the side popped the head of another black lesbian. Are you sensing a theme here? And she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, saying my first line, she said, "Who are you talking to?" Cheryl, who's standing right there. And then she motioned with her hand for me to come and join her at the camera. So I walked over, and then she said, "Do you see this?" And she pointed to a little monitor, maybe 2.5 by 3 inches, and I'm probably grossly overestimating how big it was, because that shit was tiny. And she said, "You're gonna have to figure out a way to take all this," and she gestured from my head to my feet, "and fit it into that. Cool? We good? We good? Return to your mark." No, we not cool, and no, we not good, because what the hell does that mean? How do I take all this and fit it into that? And then began a pattern of me employing all these different strategies to fit into that little rectangle, and after every scene I shot, I looked over to her with hope in my eyes, like, did I do it? Did I do it? And inevitably, she would take her index fingers and make a rectangle, and then make it smaller. I had some shrinking to do. So, yeah, it was rough. So when I finished the experience, I got back to New York and I was defeated and depleted. I had no idea what kind of movie they were gonna make from what we shot, but they worked some kind of magic and produced a thoroughly watchable film. It did really well in the festival circuit, got picked up for distribution. Recently, it was on Turner Classic Movies. Holla back. And the first time I watched the movie, I remember shrinking down in my seat, like really embarrassed, because not only is it hard to watch and hear yourself back, but also I could tell which scenes were shot on the day that I decided the way to fit was to go slow. And so I had a completely different cadence and rhythm in speaking. And I mentioned it to a friend, and she said, "Girl, I just thought your character was high," which worked because my character was also a pothead. Awesome sauce. And Congress accused her of using her National Endowment for the Arts monies to make porn. That's how provocative the sex scenes were. And no, I was not a part of them. But all publicity is good publicity, correct? So that just gave it a sense of notoriety that made even more people go see the film. And then recently, I've discovered storytelling, right? And my love for it. And I was at a show where I was performing with 3 other African-American artists, 2 singer-songwriters and a poet. The theme of the evening was Sankofa, which is an African phrase that means go back and get it. And it really is a philosophy of reflecting on your past, gathering the things and the lessons that you've learned and you want to keep, and bringing it forward into the future. It was a stunning evening. It was so welcoming, it was so vulnerable, and it was so powerful. I still feel it. And then at the end, there was a Q&A portion to the program. And they said, the first question they asked was, what were some of your influences? And the first person to answer was this woman named Olivia, who is a singer and an undeniable talent. And I'm not gonna lie, I started drifting when she started answering because I was focusing on what I was gonna say when I got asked, right? So then when I clocked back into the room, she was talking about this movie that she'd seen that had really impacted her. It had helped her with her queer identity, and it had showed her a way that she could include it into her art, her music. And so I sit forward because I want to know the name of this film, because if I haven't seen it already, I want to give it a look-see. And then she said the name of the movie that I had made so long ago, and said that she was humbled to be sharing the stage with somebody who had been part of the movie, meaning me. And I usually, have the gift of gab. I'm not really taken by surprise much, but I was stunned. She was talking to my inner child, because I was young and I had taken this leap of faith to do this thing, and I really thought I had fucked it up badly. And so the fact that this incredible artist, whose name you will know and whose songs you will sing, found value in that, soothed me. It made all the fitting in worth it. But note to self, never try to fit in. Find where you fit. Thank you.